Hi there, my name is Mark Dennehy, and along with Peter Woods, we're presenting today's topic, which is integrated strategic change. Now, the companies here on the front slide are actually going to be used as real-life examples to try and make the presentation a bit more interactive. So for today's agenda, well, let's get straight into it. So firstly, we thought we'd start off with defining integrated strategic change. Then secondly, we'd go through the four-step approach. Then thirdly, we'll go through some companies that have used the four-step approach well and some companies that haven't deployed it so well. Then we'd end up with a case study, so we'd throw it to students just to use the four-step approach, and then we'll then wrap up. But then now let's just cast over to the first company that has deployed it well, with Steve Jobs.
Born into a bike shop, the first bike shop in Mountain View, and Paul Terrell, the then owner of the bike shop, which was that he wanted them fully assembled and tested, ready to go, which is a new twist. So we spent the next 5 days on the phone to distributors and convinced the electronics, and we built 100 computers and we paid off the distributors, and that's how we got started.
Thanks, Steve. And for those that don't know, that was Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. So bringing that back to the topic of integrated strategic change, so it's probably worthwhile that we just touch on the definition before we go into how that relates to the video that we just saw. So the definition of integrated strategic change, according to Waddell, Cummings and Worley, it is the deliberate and coordinated process that leads to gradual or radical systemic realignments between both the environment and an organization's strategic orientation, and that results in both an improvement in performance and effectiveness. Also, Steve recognised the need for continual realignment in a famous quote: "If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something." This is a powerful statement that Steve made. As stated earlier, it reinforces the need to continually realign to both the environment and an organization's strategic orientation, which is a good segue into the three key features of integrated strategic change. So we've touched on the strategic orientation itself, which is the strategy and the organization design. The second part is the actual plan itself. And the third is the individuals and groups across the organization that are integrated into that plan. So if we go back to Apple computers, so the plan was to build and sell computers to the local distributor. The second feature of integrated strategic change is the strategic plan through an integrated process. The process itself is creating the plan, gaining support, plan implementation, and execute. So if I relate that back to the Apple example, the business partner supported Steve Jobs to manufacture the computer boards and to sell them to the local computer shop. That was really the end-to-end plan when Apple first started. Obviously that changed over time. The third part, or the third key feature of integrated strategic change, is having the individuals and groups across the organization integrated into the plan. And luckily for Apple at the time, it was two people, which was Steve Jobs and his business partner. Continuing on with the third feature, the plan was to manufacture and sell computers to the local store. However, the plan did change once consumer demand increased, requiring more people and the expansion of Apple computers. And that's a good segue into the next topic, which is application stages. And for this, we'll use the example of Google and understanding the current strategy that Google had, the strategic choice it needed to make, and then the plan to get from the old strategy to the new strategy. It really uses the four phases of integrated strategic change, which we previously covered off, which is the analysis, exercises the strategic choice, designing a change plan, and then implementing that plan. But before we get into the four stages of application stages, we might just cover off where Google has been and where it's going in the future.
Two students who wanted to make the best search engine work. What is behind that screen?
write a ton of algorithms that determine what we show and when we show it. So for example, if you were to do a query quickly, and then as you can see, we have sort of two areas on the page. We have the organic search results, which you will see on the left-hand side. And then you have all of your advertising, which you will see as sometimes the top results on the page. These are clearly marked in a different color. And then we also have them on the right-hand side of the page.
When reviewing Google through the application stages framework, the first step is to have a look at the strategic analysis. Strategic analysis, again, is diagnosing the readiness to change, the strategy of Google, and the organization design. Now, Google is quite unique in the sense that its readiness to change is quite high. It has a highly collaborative working environment. It has clear communication pathways with its staff. It also has a flat structure, and this is something that Larry Page and Sergey Brin have purposefully designed to allow Google to be highly agile and able to change its strategic approach fairly quickly. Through this strategic analysis, we can diagnose that Google needed to look at beyond search, and as pointed out in the video, its search product was best in market. However, it was highly reliant on search, which therefore is a good segue into the second stage. Stage 2 of the application stages is exercising strategic choice. This step is the desired state of Google, and through the strategic analysis, they had understood that the company was too focused in search. The aspiration for Google was to look beyond search and expanding its product range and app range, and this included email and other devices, including mobile. It also wanted to continue fostering work collaboration by adding additional staff benefits, like including free days, included meals, etc. And by doing this, it allowed them to attract the best talent in market. So this was the desired end state, which would then lead quite well into the second and third stages of the application stages. The third stage of the application stages is designing the strategic plan. This is really how Google will get there. So this is a comprehensive agenda from moving from A to B, so the current state to the future state, and it's really just breaking it down into a to-do list effectively. So for Google, they need to develop an email platform. They also need to develop a mobile operating system, and they also needed to develop the world's best practice in benefits. The final stage is really implementing, so this is just taking the plan itself and executing, and through the execution they've been able to develop a Gmail, Android platform for mobile devices, and build a university-like culture with free meals, gym, and a great work-life balance. The next company that we'll review through the integrated strategic change process is a company that was founded in 2004 and that has grown exponentially. Facebook is one of the most popular and most viewed websites on the internet, and has gone through a change from a university style startup to a global company. So the next video will be an introduction into the founder of Facebook.
Mark Zuckerberg was a Harvard freshman with a gift for computer programming. Less than a decade later, he is the baby-faced multi-billionaire power broker who rubs shoulders with the president.
My name is Barack Obama, and I'm the guy who got Mark to wear a jacket and tie.
I think most people still haven't really digested the scale of Facebook or how quickly it's grown.
The goal is obviously to get to ubiquity. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg wants everyone to be on this service. He transformed the dorm room project into the internet's biggest global village. The site now has over 900 million users.
You can't underestimate how driven Mark Zuckerberg really is.
Zuckerberg is just as visionary as Steve Jobs.
Again, adopting the application stages framework for integrated strategic change However, this time looking at Facebook, we understand that the organization design was one CEO and 6 programmers, and the strategy was to grow a social site through university networks. Performing the strategic analysis, Mark wanted to increase the user base and also cross borders. Exercising a strategic choice, the goal was to grow the base from the 100 million users for 2 reasons. One, to reduce the threat of new entrants, and secondly, to reduce the threat of substitute products. The third stage of designing the change plan was 2 ways how they can actually implement the strategic choice. One was through allowing users to register that didn't have a university student email address, and the second one was to enable users to connect via their mobile device, so iPhone and Android applications. The 4th stage was to implement, and currently Facebook has a user base of 1.23 billion active users. The next 2 examples are companies that have adopted the application stage for integrated strategic change, however haven't adopted the correct strategy, or may have had an organization design that didn't align to that strategy and therefore have had negative outcomes. So if we look at the first example, which is Kodak, Kodak had a strategic focus on print and print cameras. It's been doing, it's been selling print and print cameras for close to almost 200 years. The organisation design was quite large to support the those 2 products, so it was roughly around 60,000 employees. The plan itself was to focus on those 2 product lines and to not look outside of differentiating those products or competing on price. And thirdly, the organisation itself was all aligned through all its individuals and groups, and they were all integrated into the plan. The outcome, so there was 3 key outcomes through adopting this strategic plan. Firstly, the threat of new entrants was quite high, with some camera manufacturers already competing in camera market, and the external environment itself also shifted to digital. The threat of substitute products was also quite high. There wasn't a great variation between one product to another, and the bargaining power of customers was also quite high. Combining this with the large organisation design prohibited Kodak to respond quickly to the market in its open system, and therefore Kodak declared bankruptcy in 2013. The next example is Kodak. Kodak, we're all quite familiar with, was fairly predominant in the mobile phone products, and it's also had a market-leading product within forestry in Finland. Its organisation design was also quite large. It was 90,900 employees. The strategic plan was to again focus on those 2 key product lines, so mobile phones and forestry, although quite diversified product lines. The third component, all individuals and groups across the organisation again were aligned to this plan. Now the outcomes are very similar to Kodak. So they had threat of new entrants. So they had Apple iPad and Apple iPhone, which unfortunately for Nokia actually disrupted both product lines. They also had threat of new entrants with both Apple iPhone, Sony, Samsung, HTC, Motorola all competing in the market, which therefore leads to the third point, which increased rivalries within the market. Nokia did respond with some changes to the organisation design. It did look at. Next up is a case study, just to try and make a presentation a bit more interactive. You'll see the first dot point is a YouTube clip which provides some context on the current challenges Qantas is experiencing. The case study really looks to answer 4 questions, which are: what open system issues are plaguing Qantas? Could improvements be made in the organisation strategy? Could improvements be made in the organisation design? And adopting the integrated stages of change approach: diagnose, choose, design the plan, and implement that plan. This should only take roughly about 5 minutes. 5 minutes later. Excellent, thanks for that, guys. So what open system issues are plaguing Qantas? There are a few, as you can see in the list below, and I'll go through a couple of them. Looking at the inputs, Qantas does have a large workforce across maintenance, aircraft crew, sales and management. They also have increased fuel prices and an ageing aircraft fleet. Looking at the environmental influences, there are a few political influences, competition, IT advancements. There's other forms of travel now trying to compete with airline, and there's lobby groups and political pressures there as well. Continuing on with the open system issues, so the transformation process whereby we convert the inputs into outputs. So the workforce that Qantas operates within is heavily unionised, which therefore prohibits it to respond quickly to market. It also has pressure on management, which is a bit of a byproduct from the inputs, i.e. political pressure as well as consumer demand. The outputs are really the airline product, which is travel for both Qantas and Jetstar brands. Next question was, could improvements be made to the organisation strategy? There are some suggestions captured below. One being maybe Qantas could focus on Australian travel and not focus on its international travel. The other part is looking to reduce its airline fleet. Maybe there's some cost savings there. And also focusing on the low-cost strategy, which seems to be working quite effectively for Qantas. Could improvements be made in the organisation design? I think this is a categorical yes. Looking at reducing its workforce, which you're already doing, maybe shifting some services to online is also another suggestion. And finally, adopting the application stage for integrated strategic change, we analyse the current strategy, which is transporting customers through its two airline brands, Qantas and Jetstar, and also the organisation design, which is roughly around 27,000 employees. So performing strategic analysis, Qantas wants to return its business back to being profitable. And looking at this strategic choice, how does it do it? Well, it reduces airline rivalry and also reduces the buying power of some of its customers. Third stage of designing the change plan. So here's some suggestions, focusing on the domestic travel, which we've previously covered off, also increasing mobile penetration, making the sales process for customers really simple and easy, and also maybe moving the Qantas brand to a low-cost carrier. And that's it. So thank you very much for allowing us to present today. If you have any questions, please bring them up in the forum, and both myself or Pierre will look to respond as soon as possible. But yeah, really enjoyed this task, and thank you all for the opportunity.